Hello there. Before we start the video, let's know about Upptalk. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms. This tutorial video is about Salesforce Vlocity. Salesforce is a popular CRM application for marketing, support, and sales teams all around the world. Salesforce services enable organizations to leverage cloud technology to better engage with customers, partners, and future customers. Salesforce Vlocity is a supplier of industry-specific solutions and mobile applications, enabling digital, omni-channel operations for the world's leading corporations in various sectors. The following are the topics covered in this video. Lightning Web Components. Case Study. OmniStudio Console. CSR Building. OmniStudio FlexCards Designer Tool. Please do like, share, subscribe to our channel Upptalk so that you will be notified with our new videos on the latest technologies time to time. This video will be covered by Mr. Asif, who is a certified trainer in Salesforce, and he will explain to you all of the listed topics. Let's welcome him and get started.
So in the module number 2, the introduction to Lightning Web Component and how it works. Lightning Web Component, let's see that. So what is the importance of Lightning Web Component here? So we are not implementing the Lightning Web Components, but how we are using the Lightning Web Components, we'll see. So Lightning Web Components, basically it's a rich user interface. If we want to implement custom user interface in Lightning experience, Salesforce, we have two user interfaces. One is classic user interface, and next is Lightning user interface, Lightning. So classic user interface was the old one, and Lightning, Salesforce bring on around 2014. They introduced the Lightning UI. So Lightning is a rich user interface. Okay, Lightning is a rich user interface. So in classic version, before we use the classic version, now most of the customers are using the Lightning UI. In classic, if we want to implement a custom user interface, we use Visual Force pages. In Lightning, if we want to implement the custom user interface, we use Lightning components. So in classic, we use Visual Force pages. In Lightning, we use Lightning components to build a custom user interface. Okay. In Lightning component, to develop the Lightning component also, we have two ways we can develop Lightning components, that is using Aura framework and Lightning Web Component. So we can use Aura framework or we can use Lightning Web Component. When Vlocity started using the Salesforce, when they implemented the industry-specific solutions, so they were using the Visual Force pages because the applications was in classic. Plus they added for the bridge user interface, they added the functionality, they added the AngularJS. They added the AngularJS. So that's what the UI for Vlocity. So before Lightning, they were using the Visual Force pages to implement the Lightning the custom user interface for Vlocity screens. So Vlocity was using Visual Force page and AngularJS. When 2014, when Salesforce introduced Lightning components, for Lightning and Lightning components, what Vlocity did is Vlocity was using Lightning components plus AngularJS. So there was using the AngularJS framework also. Aura framework plus AngularJS framework. So in 2019, Salesforce introduced Lightning Web Component. So the same time, Lightning Web Component, it has a broad support. It follows the World Wide Web standards. It follows the WW standards. So as LWC follows the World Wide Web standards and it has a broad support, and LWC runs like more faster than if we compare with the UI, like almost when Vlocity did the performance testing comparatively with the Lightning Components plus AngularJS and Lightning Web Component. Lightning Web Component UI is more than 300% faster. Where they did the performance testing, when Vlocity did the performance testing, so they see the performance, like this is the performance increment like 300% faster than the Angular or Visual Force based frameworks. So they worked with Vlocity along with Salesforce because it was before merging. Vlocity worked with the Salesforce closely, and all the screens they implemented using the Lightning Web Component. Even what with tools, and they change the complete backend functionality. Now, whatever we implement, if we are implement something like FlexCards using the FlexCard Designer tool, if we implement the FlexCard, so how we implement the FlexCard? We have a FlexCard Designer tool. If we use the FlexCard Designer tool and we add the fields, it's all drag and drop tool. We add the fields and actions and we create a card. So we are creating a card using point and click, that is drag and drop functionality. But what Vlocity will do, whatever the configuration we do, so Vlocity convert that configuration into code. So backend they will create a Lightning Web Component for that. They create a Lightning Web Component. They create a Lightning Web Component. So whatever the code, whatever the configuration we do, with that configuration, backend they will add a Lightning Web Component. Backend they will add a Lightning Web Component. Backend they will add Lightning Web Component. Okay, so backend what they do, they will add a Lightning Web Component. So that's a cool. So we are not the implements with backend. Whatever the component we use, the components, whatever the components we use, it's like from the backend it was a Lightning Web Component. But what we are working is with a point and click approach. So we are not going to the custom path. We are just doing the declarative path where Vlocity will take care of converting our configuration into code. Converting the configuration into code. Okay, if we know the Lightning Web Component development, so here coding is not required to learn Vlocity. But if anyone who already know Lightning Web Component, for them it is like added advantage. If they want to modify something, so we can access the Lightning Web Component through some ID tools we have to use. So we can edit the Lightning Web. So Vlocity provides ability to modify the Lightning Web Component from the backend. Okay. So in Lightning Web Components, Lightning Web Component has some file system. Whoever developed the Lightning Web Component, this is not like complete development, but we need to understand how Lightning Web Component has a file structure. So the file structure of Lightning Web Component contains whoever implements Lightning Component, they will have this file structure. So we should know the high level what is Lightning Web Component, how it will develop. So Lightning Web, when I say Lightning Web Component, the Lightning Web Component is a bundle with a package. It's a bundle package with a different file systems. So what is the file systems here? We have, what is the file structure we have here is, first we have template file. Template file. What is a template? The template here is nothing but it's a HTML file. It's a start with a template and with template. So you have to create a, well, in Lightning Web Component, to design the UI, we use HTML plus Lightning framework. HTML plus, so you can use HTML, you can use CSS, you can use a Lightning components, Lightning framework. So template is nothing but for UI. So what is Lightning Web Component? To design the UI, right? So the very important file is, you will write a HTML code. You will write a HTML code. That is the first file. You design the complete UI using the HTML plus Lightning component, Lightning tags. We have Lightning framework, so you use Lightning component tags. Okay, the second file is controller file. So this is the UI. The first file is for markup. We can say markup. Markup is nothing but UI. The second file is controller. Controller means where you implement logic. Controller means where you will implement the logic. So here in Lightning Web Components, we implement the logic in JavaScript. We implement the logic in JavaScript. So we write a code. So we are using the client side controller. Okay, so here we use a JavaScript. The next file is CSS. CSS is for custom style sheet. If you want to add a custom design, so we use CSS file system. Okay. The fourth file is meta XML. It's a XML file. So what this meta XML contains? What this meta XML contains? The meta XML contains whatever the component you build, whatever the component you build. So where you want to expose this component? Do you want to expose this component or not? Do you want to expose this component? If you want to expose this component, where you want to expose? Like app page. In Salesforce, we have app page, record page, home page, community page. Like this, we have pages. So where you want to display, exposing nothing but where you want to display this component. Okay, you build a component here. You already build a component where you want to expose this component. So that's something you will do in the meta XML. So remember this just file system. So we are not doing any development. And even we don't need this, but as backend, we need to understand like what is happening in the backend, right? What happened in the backend? And there are some basic Lightning Web components which we can use in the FlexCard implementation or the OmniScript implementation we can use, but we will not go in that level. Okay, so but we need to understand as whatever the FlexCard we build, OmniScript that convert to a Lightning Web Component. The Lightning Web Component has this file structure. UI, we have a markup. Controller, we have a JavaScript, and we use a CSS for custom style sheet. And the fourth file is very important because whenever we implement a FlexCard, we expose that component to, so where I want to use that component, where I would like to show the component on the UI. So this configuration is required. This configuration is required. Okay. So that is about Lightning Web Component. That is about Lightning Web Component. Okay. So here we are going to work on a call. We are going to work on one case study. We're going to work on a case study. The case study which we will work on is, it's called caller story. So what is a caller story here? What we're going to work is, so we have a service application. We have service application. In the service application, this caller story for a CSR, customer support representative. Customer support representative receives calls from different customers. So here the caller story is, whenever any customer calls a CSR means any service team. Okay. If we have an issue, we call to the customer support, right? So the CSR means customer service representative or customer support representative. They'll pick the call and they will help the customer. Okay. So in our caller story, when customer calls CSR, so what is the first thing CSR will do is, CSR will verify the customer, right? Let's say if we call any bank, okay, okay, they will ask you, please verify your date of birth. They will ask some security questions, right? They'll ask some security questions. So those security questions, so we have a process to verify the account information. So the user screen, let me go to the OmniStudio Console. So here, if you see verify account, whenever, let's say this functionality is already there, verifying the customer. Once the customer calls a CSR, now CSR first will ask, okay, for which account you are calling from. So the company is, let's say I'm calling from Acme. The customer says Acme account. Okay. Yeah, can you please verify your account information? And CSR will ask, can you please tell your account number or SLA serial number? So once the customer confirms this information, verification is done. So we launch the record of Acme. Okay. Now Acme record opened. Now here what CSR, okay, now this looks really good. Okay, for the CSR. Now CSR is requesting, hey, whenever I verify, the CSR asking us to implement. So whenever whenever a customer calls me and once verification done, okay, I need a UI. Where I see the customer details. In our caller story. So our caller story calling from the Acme account. So we need to display the account details in high level. Account details. So we would like to display the account details. And we would like to display what are the, okay, for this account information, what information will you want? Account details like account name. Okay, so here what they want is, they want account name, phone, website, and who is the primary contact for this? Who is the primary contact for this account? What is meant by primary contact here? The primary contact means what is my primary contact here? Let's say for one account there will be many contact persons. If I want to call, if a company wants to reach out to Acme or any other account, so they have many contacts. For one account can have many contacts. This is a standard relationship, correct? It's a standard relationship. One account will have many contacts. If we want to call one person, then how we decide that okay, this is the correct person to contact. So for that, what they want is, hey, who is the primary contact for this customer? For this customer, who is the primary contact? So they want to track the primary contact information. So how we are going to do this? That we will learn something. Okay. So on the account card, they want to display primary contact details. Primary contact details. Okay. And also along with that, they want to display the list of contacts. They want to display the list of contacts list. Okay. Also, they want to display case list. Like what is the case here? Whenever user calls and raise any complaints, okay, so that will be tracked in the case. That will be tracked in the case list. So CSR is a end user for this application. What we are going to build. So CSR need account information, high level information on the contacts associated with the account and cases raised by this customer. And there is another card they want is weather information. They want weather information. So this is a 360-degree view they want. For every customer, whenever the customer is very done, they launch, they need that information. They need account. So CSR wants to see the account details, contact details, case list, and weather information. They want to see this information. They want to see this information. So this is a 360-degree view CSR wants to see whenever a caller calls to reach to the CSR. So the CSR team needs this UI. Okay, and they need some actions. They wanted to perform. Okay, if the customer, let's assume that the customer called CSR, the customer representative. Okay, the support team. So CSR picks the call and what maybe the customer wants. Maybe the customer wants to update the information. Okay, CSR want to update the information. Let's say the primary for them the primary contact is they want to change the primary contact. Okay, so we have to provide the ability to use a CSR to modify the account, to modify the updating the primary contact info, So we should give the ability to user to CSR to edit the account details, update the primary contact, and also if they want to edit any contact, we should provide ability to edit the contact information, and same thing for edit case. So these are the actions we have to provide. This is a 360-degree view we are going to implement for CSR, and account card, contact list, case list, weather list. Okay, these are all the individual cards we are going to add on as a 360-degree view, and we are giving the ability to user to modify the account from here itself. If user want to modify the account or contact or case, or if they want to update the primary contact, so CSR, okay, the customer called support team to modify the primary contact details of the customer. Let's assume that that's a caller story. So what should I call a story? Okay, what should a CSR should do? So the CSR should go with this action, update primary contact. So which launch an Omni script, so we have to build an Omni script, and we should give the ability in the Omni script. We should give the ability to Omni script. User should be able to see who is the complete information about the primary contact, and second, user should be able to search for the contact and select the contact. So what customer wants? The customer wants to update the primary contact. Let's say here the primary contact is Raj. So we want to change to John. So now primary contact was Raj. Now we want to change to John. Okay. So how we can user change? So user will go to the update primary contact, and user will see the primary contact details, what existing primary contact are. And the second, we are giving the option to search for the contact John and able to select the John record from the available contact. So we have to search the existing contacts in the database, and we have to select and go for the update. What if this, okay, if the customer calls and asking to update the John, and John is what if it is a new employee for their system? So new employees, we did not add it. If we did not find a John, we have to give the ability to use CSR to create a new contact, to create actually primary contact. Create primary contact. So this functionality we will do in using the Omni script. So whatever the 360 degree view you are creating, we are using the FlexCards. And what Omni scripts we are building? So when user click on update primary contact, we are launching the screen where we are allowing the user, where we are allowing the CSR to change or create primary contact. So this we are implementing using the Omni script. And there are other Omni script we are building for other actions like edit account, edit contact, edit case. Edit account, edit contact, edit case we are implementing. Okay, so this is our caller story. For that, first, based on the information, we have to show the data, account details, contact details, case list, and what about the weather? Weather is external data. Account, contact, case is we fetch from Salesforce database. Weather information is not available in the Salesforce. So what we do is we bring the data from external system. Here. So we are going to work with external system too to bring the data. Okay, so how we will do this, how we create 360 degree view, how we create like multiple Omni scripts, total 4 Omni scripts, and how we work with to get the data, to send the data, to modify, to create, how we are going to use the data tools. So that is our caller story. This is our project, what we are going to implement. Is this clear, everyone? So hope the caller story is clear. So here we are implementing the application for CSR. We're implementing our end customer is CSR. So whenever the CSR receives a call, how quickly the CSR should help the customer to complete the specific actions what customer calls for. Okay, so this is a caller story what we will implement. This is a caller story what we will implement. Okay, this is a caller story what we will implement. Fine. So here we are starting the module number 1. Sorry, module number 3. So here now we are starting with the flex cards. Flex card designing the flex cards using flex card designer tool. Flex card designer tool. So in the case, as per the case study, we have to build the account card, weather card, contact card, case card. So let's work on these 4 cards. Okay. So here first we will look into the flex cards. Okay. And whatever the lab exercise we are doing, you will be doing along with me. Okay. So here in our lab exercises, you will be doing along with me. Okay. So that you will understand the concept and also you do the practice. Okay. So once we start the lab exercises, I'll be showing the demo and simultaneously you will be doing along with me. Is that clear? So you have to log into the aux. Whenever our session is started, you have to log into the aux. Okay, so you have to do the lab exercises along with me. Okay, and sometime I will give the offline work. You have to complete the offline work too. Okay, cool. So first in the flex card, let's understand the flex card. So flex card, we have to implement this using the flex card. We have to implement this 360-degree view for CSR. For any customer, the customer view should be 360-degree view. Whenever the customer is verified, account is verified, once the verification process is done, we need to launch the 360-degree view. So that view we are implementing through flex cards. Okay, so the first flex card what we will be working on is account flex card. So here we are calling master account card, master account flex card. Okay, master account flex card. So what is a card? So we discussed that in our previous session, flex card. Using the flex card, we display the contextual information and actions. Simply we can say data plus actions, right? Data plus actions. We can display using the flex card, we can display the data and actions. We display the data and actions. Okay, how we display the data and actions? So we have to understand the flex card designer tool. Okay, we have to understand flex card designer. How we are going to display the data? For example, if we take any flex card account information, so how you display the name, account name, or website details, and the actions. So how we are going to place the actions, how we are going to place the data, how we display. So for that we have to understand the flex card designer tool. Okay, flex card designer tool. So let's see the flex card designer tool. So flex card designer tool. Flex card designer tool have the header information. Flex card designer tool have the header information. I'll show you in the application also. I'll show you just for understanding. So let's say this is our designer tool. It has a header. It displays the card name. What is the card name you are building? And it shows the status of the card, whether the card is active or not. Okay. And also there will be some actions. Using these actions, you can, if you want to preview or clone or activate or deactivate, that information the card header contains. Okay. And we see some canvas here. We see some canvas. This canvas we use to design our card. The canvas in the card designer tool, we see some blank space. We see some blank space. In this blank space, we design our card. The very important section here is the panel section. This panel section. It contains the 4 tabs. It contains 4 tabs. It has 4 tabs. So what is this 4 tabs here? These 4 tabs very important. The first tab is build tab. Inside the build, if you click on the build panel contains elements. Build panel contains elements. What is element means? Okay. If I want to display image here in the card, let's say in the card I want to display image here, some logo or image. Okay, so how can we display the image here? For that, there is element. There are so many different type of elements, like image element, chart element, action, if I want to add action, or if I want to add the data. So everything under the build element, we will have elements. Under the build panel, we have elements. So what we should do, we have to drag and drop these elements on the canvas. So whatever you want to drag, whatever you want to display, image, text, action, you want to add a table, any information you want to add on the canvas is a blank space. You have to drag and drop the element. Like you have to drag and drop the element. You have to drag and drop the element to design. That's easy design. It's all drag and drop. Once I drag and drop the image, okay, let's say image element, I drag and drop the image element here. What image I need to show? What image I want to show? Where is the image from? That is something you do from properties. Next tab is properties tab. Properties tab. What property? Whatever the element you drag and drop to configure the element. Like, okay, what is the element name here? What is account image? What image I need to show? Account, okay, where is the image from? Is it from your local system? From where you want to get? So you can get that image. You can get that, you can get, or you can configure. So where do we configure? Under the properties tab. So once I drag and drop the element and when you select, it automatically the cursor will take to the properties tab. So we do configuration in the properties tab. The next tab what we have is the panel. Next panel is style panel. If we want to add the next third tab, the third style, this tab we call as style panel. So style panel will contains the CSS. You no need to know the CSS. it's all drag and drop. There will be a default options. So you have to give the default options. So once you give like default options, there are like drop down values, setting the complete CSS configuration without coding through point and click. You can design your card you can bring the custom CSS to your card. That's cool, right? The last tab is setup tab. So this setup tab is the entire card configuration we can do in the setup tab. So this is in the card designer tool. These 4 tabs are very important. Build contains the element, what elements you want to use. Property panel, we configure the element which we have drag and drop. And the style tab panel, we will add the custom CSS to your elements. And setup, under the setup configuration tab, you will contain all the card configuration, what data source you are using, what input parameters you are passing, and everything information is there in the setup. Okay, so let me show you the card designer tool in the application. I'll go to OmniStudio application. So OmniStudio FlexCards. We have to go to the tab OmniStudio FlexCards. Let me open any one of the existing one. So later we create a new one. Okay. So this is our card designer tool. Flex card designer tool. So as discussed, you see it has a header. Header contains the card name. Header contains the card name. It has the author, version, status, where it is cloned from. Is it a child card? So the cards are the different type of cards we have. The parent cards, child cards. We'll learn everything. Okay. And we have some actions buttons: preview, versioning, cloning, activate, help, or export. Okay. So these are the information, these are the action buttons we have. And these are the main, okay, this is the panel. So this is a canvas, sorry, this is a canvas. This is a canvas. With this canvas, we use this canvas to drag and drop. This here you can see this is already, we designed some card here. So this is a case card. Okay. So here if you see the tabs, 4 tabs, these 4 tabs, we have build, properties, style, and setup. Under the build, we have so many elements: action element, a block element, chart element. If you want to use any custom lightning web component, if you already have any, if you implemented, if you want to embed that, you can do that as well. Data table, if you want to display the data in the table format, if you want to display any field information, okay. If you want to embed a flex card inside the flex card, if you want to add an icon like this is icon. If you want to add an icon, if you want to add an image, if you want to add a menu of actions, like a list of actions, okay. So text, toggle. So these are the elements we have. These are the elements we have. So we have to use these elements. What if I want to display image? What if I want to display the image? So I have to drag and drop. I have to drag and drop on the canvas. So you have to drag and drop the canvas. You have to drag and drop the element on the canvas. Once I drag and drop the canvas, if you see here, automatically the properties panel is highlighted. Now I need to configure what image I need to show, from where I need to show. So what is the element name? I can change from the properties panel. So I have to look for the image. I have to look for the image. These are the static resources already available. I can pick, and that will display the image on our card. The Salesforce logo which I picked. Right? So you have to pick that information, or you can upload the image. What image you want to display on your card? You can upload from your system, or you can get the details from the content document. So you should upload the images into the content document like a files, or you can upload from the system. So this is just example how we configure. For this, if you want to add a style, like, so this space is like, it is occupying more space. I don't want, okay, I don't want the image should be available in this like big. I can reduce the size, right? The CSS is like designing your component. CSS will bring your component, like CSS bring the custom CSS, like you can implement, instead of like, you will not write any code, you just all point and click. See the dimension, I just reduce the dimension. If you want to change the color, background color, background size, position, border color, it's all padding. If you want to add a padding, let's say if I want to add a padding, around padding, you can see it's all added the padding around. So we are not doing any custom, we are not writing any code here. Everything is drag and drop, or point and click, right? So the CSS, under the CSS, we can do, it has sections. We'll discuss in detail when we work on the lab. And just I'm showing like how we can use a designer tool. So build tab contains the element which we use to drag and drop the elements on the canvas. And properties to configure the property tab we use to configure the element which we have drag and drop from the build panel. And style to add the CSS, the custom CSS to your element. Okay, and setup. Setup is for the flex card. What is a flex card name? Team starter cases. What is author? Okay, these are all the card configurations. So what data source you are using, how you are retrieving the data, what parameters you are passing. That's all we'll do here. To verify the data, what data currently this, okay, currently what data the card is holding. If you see this, what data it is? JSON, case information, case number, case status. Every key has a value, case number, case status, case open date. And we have how many? This is array of records. How many records we have? 2 records we have. We have 2 records. So how we configure all these things. So that is something we will learn now. So is it clear everyone about the FlexCard Designer tool?
Yeah.
It's very high level. We will learn more in detail now. Is it clear so far? Any questions you have? So we need to get habit to this FlexCard Designer tool. Okay. So FlexCard Designer tool is having the header information which will show the high level information about the card, like who's the author for this card and what is the version, is it active or inactive, Is this a card created or cloned from any other card? Is it a child or parent card? If checkbox is checked means child card, not means it is a parent card. Okay, what theme you are using, what is meant by theme, and what actions buttons we have. And mainly see here, we don't have like many elements, like only few, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12, 13, like not much. But with this, only with this element, you can design awesome UI with a simple point and click. Only few elements, like 13 plus elements, 12 plus elements, right? And once you drag and drop, it's just a drag and drop. Okay, drag and drop, that's it. So once you drag and drop, you give add action. Right, once you drag and drop, you configure this. So in the property tab, you configure, and the style tab, you will, in the style tab, you will add the CSS. That's all it is. Clear, everyone? Please, now the form is open for the question and answer. Any questions you have? Do you have any questions? Anyone have any questions or queries about the case study or the FlexCard designer tool, which we are going to start working on it? No, we create from the scratch. We learn how to create from the scratch. We will not clone or something. We will create from the scratch. So we'll implement our color story, whatever the like from the scratch, like whatever we, as we discussed previously, whatever we do learn, we have to learn from the scratch. We do start from the scratch. Or once we done with the same thing, we won't repeat the like everything creating from the scratch. So once we learn how to do that from the scratch, then we clone for other labs. But everything we start from the scratch only. Okay. Good. So any other questions about our color story? So we started today. We started with exploring about the lightning. Like just we went through the lightning components. What is lightning component history? We just went through. We learned what is the history of lightning web component, right? And what is the file structure of lightning web component? And we discuss about our color story. What color story we will implement? And we started with the flex cards. In the flex card, so we use a flex card designer to implement a flex card, a card. So what is a card? A card is a UI component which displays the contextual information and actions. To display the data, the contextual information is nothing but data, right? A data plus actions. So how we display the data, how we display the actions, apart from the data, how we can design our card to look beautiful. Okay, so this is something we learn how. Okay, the designing skills, we need to have some designing skills. And in our tomorrow sessions, we start with, before we go to the card, how to configure the data. So how to bring the data, what are the different, so tomorrow what we learn is how, the first important thing, how to work with the data. So here we are not using the data tools, but we'll understand what are the data sources available for the card. What data sources we can use for the card, which fetches the data and display on a card. What are the different data sources we have? How to create card? So we learn, before we go to the card designer tool, first we have to learn how to create flex cards. how to create flex cards, and when you create a flex card, how we configure data source, what data source we have to configure. To define the data source, do we need to pass any input parameters? If we are passing the input params, how to configure this input params in JSON? Everything is here in JSON. So how we pass the input parameters to the data source, and how data source returns the data, how we load the data to the flex card. Then after we start the design. Okay, so that's what the agenda for tomorrow. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, we can wrap up the session and we'll connect tomorrow. Is that fine with everyone?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Have a good day. Good night. Take care.